So, one day, Betcha went to play, and on missing her friends, she strayed farther away from the house. A lady saw her crying and picked her up. Betcha explained where she lived, and the lady brought her back home. Who do you live with? The lady asked. My mom's aunt, Betcha responded. Where's your mother? She inquired further. Aunt tells me she's in hospital. I haven't seen her in a long time. With that, Betcha burst into tears. Due to her young age, she was not allowed to visit the hospital wards. Every day, she asked her grandmother how her mother was doing, but she always replied, much better than yesterday, dear. Don't worry, she'll soon be here. This became a song, and Betcha silently went into depression. Her schoolwork suffered. One Wednesday afternoon, a gentleman arrived with a letter from the county children's department. We hear there's a child in this house who is being mistreated. Her schooling is suffering, the officer bellowed. Our job is to take care of children in this nation. He handed over the letter to Aunt Memo, who was tongue-tied, and with that, he took Betcha away. Aunt Memo followed up that afternoon to find out what had happened. At the children's department, she was informed that no letter had come to that effect. Indeed, no letter had been released to take a child away from her home. Instantly, it dawned on her. That Betcha had been kidnapped. She now had to file a case on a missing child with the police, who assured her that they would follow up on the case. Week after week, she went to check on the report. With a sickness and meager resources, things were not moving as she had expected. Meanwhile, Betcha found herself at home, for she was brought back by Aunt Betcha a few weeks before. She was kept in the room for a week, and she was assigned the cleaning of a 5-bedroom bungalow. That is Betcha. She found herself assigned to clean a 5-roomed bungalow. Can you imagine? Betcha would cry herself to sleep. One day, the police raided that home. Apparently, the house was suspected for child trafficking. The owners were arrested while Betcha was taken to a children's home in a different county. Betcha was registered in a boarding school nearby. Her first days in school were very difficult. She had not yet acclimatized to the climate and the culture of the school. However, with a determination similar to her mother, she resolved to be positive and seek help. Within no time, her grades were improving. One day, as she was registering for the Class 8 national examination, she decided that her past would not hinder her. She changed her name to Riziki Bahati. Betcha dropped her father's name. That evening, she wept inconsolable as she remembered the secret buried deep down inside her heart. The matron tried calming her down, but eventually gave up. Finally, sleep overtook her, and the following 3 days, she had a splitting headache. Years had gone so fast. She missed her mother and her aunt, but they never came to see her, and she lost all hope of ever seeing them. Soon, she passed her national exams at Class 8 and went through successfully. She scored 400 marks out of the possible 500 marks. What happened next? So, Betcha was called to a secondary school, a national one, known as Lead High School. The school was welcoming, and soon she settled and got down to hard work. She knew if she were to trace her mother, she would need to work hard, get a well-paying job which would supply adequate resources. At first, she tried to be emotionally strong, but as second term came, she could not hold it anymore. Riziki, my sister, what is it? Asked Genevieve, who was her deskmate and a close friend. I have noticed that every day you're becoming quieter and quieter in class. Even the teachers are starting to get concerned. Genevieve, I have a long story, but I can't open up. Maybe later. was Riziki's constant reply. One day, during an English lesson, as they were discussing about a character called Nyabera in the set text, The River and the Source, Riziki broke down in the middle of the lesson. No one could calm her down. Her teacher of English had invited Dr. Margaret Sai to help in analysis of the themes. Dr. Sai told the class to continue reading the passage as she attended to Riziki. That would be the beginning of a lifelong relationship with the doctor. For 3 hours, Riziki and the doctor talked. Beja told her briefly about her childhood. Dr. Sai's heart was so touched that she resolved to follow up on Riziki's progress as long as she was alive. Dr. Sai was also a trained counselor, so she applied all her skills towards Riziki's healing. She also ensured every beginning of term that Riziki had her shopping done as per the school guideline. In her, Riziki found a mentor, a confidant, and a mother. Chapter 3. Meanwhile, Becha's mother. Meanwhile, Becha's mother, Joanne, had struggled with her sickness for so long. However, the breaking up of her family slowed down her recovery, and every time she thought of them, she also got into depression. When she left Eldoret, she had not been on talking terms with her husband. She had hoped that distance would heal the wounds between them. Not known to her, the day she left, her husband had changed his mobile phone number and commanded his mother not to tell anyone, including Joanne, of his whereabouts. The reason she spent most time talking to her aunt was to get relief from the pain that was slowly tearing her apart. But her aunt always encouraged her to look forward to better days and not neglect her children. The departure of her son was the straw that broke the camel's back. For 5 months, she was in hospital, and all she ever asked was, God, why? God, what have I done to deserve such a life? Unfortunately for her, the day she was transferred to the regular ward was also the day Becha was kidnapped. Where is my daughter, Auntie? She inquired from Aunt Memo. She couldn't come today. Schoolwork held her up, Aunt Memo kept replying. Joanne noticed that Aunt Memo was avoiding her gaze, but she was too tired to inquire further. On the next visit, she asked, Auntie, please tell me the truth. Where is my daughter? Sorry, my dear, but something happened. Some people came for her and they took her to a better school. Don't worry, I'm checking on her. Joanne noted that her aunt's voice was shaking as she uttered those words. Joanne knew that something was terribly wrong. Her heart started beating so fast. Just then, a group of religious people came to visit the patients. They were sharing a message of hope and talking about a God who could change people's lives and circumstances. She listened carefully and felt some hope come into her heart. Her aunt left that day feeling so bad that she could not relieve the unbearable pain Joanne was going through. 2 months later, a week before Joanne was discharged from hospital, Aunt Memo explained to her what had happened to Becha. I tried following up, but it was to no avail. The police have not been able to trace her, she said in despair. Joanne wept and had to be sedated. The next day, she took her Bible and she came across the story of Job. She was able to read a passage from it daily until she was discharged. Her aunt took her home and did all she could to ensure her comfort. 3 times a week, the pastor would come from the nearby church, visit and encourage her so that she could be strong to pursue her children. My sister, when you are bedridden, you can't do much. Get on your feet. Trust God to help you locate your children, the pastor would say at every visit. This word became her song. 6 months later, she told her aunt that she wanted to start a business so that she could get money to cater for her needs. She started the business, and little by little, it grew. Her food kiosks attracted all kinds of people. Before long, she was looking for a bigger room to accommodate her and her many clients. 2 years later, her hotel was known as Moxie Beck. It became very popular with tourists. She was able to move into her own house and would visit her Aunt Memo occasionally. Now, she was determined to look for her family. And I'm going to Eldoret next week. I don't know whether I still have a house there. I have left Josiah to look after the hotel. Please do pass by once in a while to check how things are going on. I should be back as soon as possible, Joanne told her aunt one morning. Go well, my daughter. God will guide you, replied the aunt, who had become so prayerful. With that, Joanne parted a day later for Eldoret. This time, she was able to use the SGR to Nairobi and then connect to Eldoret via her favorite means, a Nissan. As she traveled, she was very apprehensive of what she would find ahead. Stay tuned to find out what happened next time. See you later.